We're going to take the North and never give it back.
So that's a good pick. You get the corner.
Man, I'm confident.
Welcome back to the Unbearable Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Barron. Make sure to like and subscribe out there on YouTube and rate the show 5 stars everywhere that you get your podcast. Just search for Unbearable Sports. It's also the start of a new quarter, so we are looking for a brand new charity to partner with. Let us know it down in the comments. And if you haven't already, send us what charity you want us to partner with. You can email us at unbearablesports@gmail.com. Mr. PayPal, how are you doing, my friend?
Not too shabby, Brad. Not too shabby. Yeah, I'm preparing. I guess I'm not really preparing. I guess mentally I'm preparing for I'm doing a 5K this week.
Really?
So yeah, it'll be fun. It's for like it's all the funds are all going to sarcoma research. So cancer research. So it's gonna be fun. Got a big group I'm going with, and I'm not much of a runner, but I do like 5Ks. It's that perfect amount where it's like you're not running a marathon, you're not running, 26 miles or whatever, but you're getting something. You're getting something. You get that 2.5 miles ish. Like it feels nice. My calves are always so like sore after the day of running. Like I can't walk for like a day, but it's a great feeling though, nonetheless.
So speaking of like the charities and then going for the runs like this, because you're running with Colton, where for those that have followed us for over a year now, Colton was kind of the person that started the reason why we donate to charities, because he's a good friend of ours, family friend, where he got diagnosed with cancer. Just for those that have been here since then, how is he doing? Is he actually running in this, or?
Yeah, so he's participating in it. It's crazy. I mean, he's still not, back to normal type of thing. He's still going through chemo, but yeah, he's participating in it. I think I might be going kayaking with him today,
Nice.
So he's back to doing like real world stuff. He graduated college like so he's doing great. He's still, not 100%. He's still super, skinny from the chemo and all that. But yeah, it's all good stuff. And I appreciate everyone that donates to the charity, because it definitely hits home when someone that is going through stuff like that. Like he was my best friend since 4th grade. So
yeah,
it and a big family friend of ours. So it always hits home.
Yeah, and thanks again to everybody who did donate. Year plus down the road, which is crazy. So, but let's go into some other stuff.
Let's talk about some Bears before I start. I was getting teary eyed.
I can see you're getting a little teary eyed right now. Yeah, you're just, and the reason why PayPal is so teary eyed isn't just all that. It's because we finally got rid of Sam Mustipher. Because today we are going to be breaking down the offensive line as part of our countdown to camp. So we are breaking down offensive line. Who did we lose? Who did we add? Who are just the different key cogs in this offensive line? Talking about over-unders, and also the big question, did we get better or did we get worse on the offensive line? So to start things off, departures, the thing that makes PayPal the most teary-eyed and most Bears fans got rid of Sam Mustipher. Musty is no more. He is no longer on the team, went over to the Baltimore Ravens. And also I was surprised at how many departures we did have. Sam Mustipher, Riley Reif, Michael Schofield, Dakota Dozier, he was on the team and went on IR, and Zachary Thomas. For those that were still kind of curious, didn't we have an offensive lineman that's no longer here? Yep, Zachary Thomas out of San Diego State. He got picked up when he was on the practice squad last season. PayPal, anything kind of jump out to you with some of these departures?
Yeah, our Lord and Savior finally got rid of Sam Mustipher from our team. I don't know how he got picked up from the Baltimore Ravens. Good luck. I hope he plays next year. That'd be so funny to just watch him, and just watch Ravens games and see just Lamar Jackson running for his life. But yeah, it's so interesting looking at this list of kind of these guys we brought in with Riley Reif and like Michael Schofield. We kind of brought them like right at the beginning of the season when everything kind of started. Like I always like looking at, like last year from now, who do we have? And we didn't have these guys like last year from at this time. Like we got them right at the beginning of the season. And we were like, these guys are going to kind of not be our saviors, but they're going to really help this defense or this offensive line kind of fit those missing pieces. And they didn't really turn out as expected. I think you got this list up, Brad, of kind of the depth chart we had, and we could talk about it more, but last year was definitely
crazy.
You can see it in like other position groups, but you really see like how it was just kind of a trial year last year of this offensive line and who works well where, and is this guy going to make the team? Is he going to make us better? It was such a trial run, and we're out of it finally.
This depth chart was one of the hardest things to put together because last year at this time, like you said, no one knew who was playing where. Because I remember for the draft, we're like just draft offensive linemen and then plug and play them different spots. Because it was Borum got shifted over to the left tackle spot. Teven Jenkins was right tackle, and then they didn't like him anymore. And we had Dozier as the starting right guard. Then Musty was the starting right guard. Then Patrick was centers. Patrick was banged up. They added Riley Reef. And it's like, so where's Teven Jenkins? Oh, he's going to get traded. It was so freaking weird. And then we pick up Alex Leatherwood, some other people. Latavius Pig Simmons looked good in the offseason and then gets cut. Dieter Iselin. Doug Kramer gets injured. Zach Thomas didn't look great. Jatiri Carter, Julian Davenport. We even had extra people too. It was just freaking nuts. And I think that's the big key piece in this is looking back at it when we talk about the departures, it was just crazy. Musical chairs, and kudos to our offensive line coach because
oh my gosh,
I said this time and time again. Run blocking, it's about who your brothers are next to you. And the run blocking looked good and kind of out of the gate. And that is so much credit to Chris Morgan, our offensive line coach, for what he's able to do with this team, and also Getsy with the play calling and the way that we have our practices. It's a credit to a lot of the coaching staff, but it seems like we can breathe this. I breathe a little bit with this offensive line this season.
Yeah, I've been having fun and watching, like, I just been such in a Bears mood. I just need Bears content and stuff. And when it's drive Bears content, I'll just watch games. And you like every single week, it's like, oh, like a different right tackle every single week or a different mashup of the offensive line. And then finally at the end of the season, we're like, okay, we finally, it's like Teven Jenkins found his spot at right guard. Like Cody Whitehair, he was kind of up and down, but it's like, all right, we got Braxton Jones. We kind of solidified 2 spots as the offensive line. And then now with our additions, it's like kind of this whole offensive line is kind of finally coming together. And yeah, we don't have these question marks anymore.
That's a good point, because that's something too that I didn't really realize until watching the games and putting together the depth chart, where it was the only person that started at one position for every snap was Braxton Jones. Because Lucas Patrick, he was right guard, terrible right guard. And because you want to talk about, like, Musty was a better center than Lucas Patrick was right guard. And I swear it. Like, Patrick was horrific at right guard. And just, it was terrible. So this year, we seemingly have the lineup set. Braxton Jones is still your starting left tackle. Teven Jenkins, left guard. Cody Whitehair, center. Nate Davis, right guard. Darnell Wright, right tackle. Nobody's moving around. And like we said before, we're going to be breaking down the backups. The backups, I'm actually most excited to break down. Kellen Deesh, right now, Deesh is projected to be left tackle. The backup, Jatiri Carter, backup left guard. Lucas Patrick, backup center. Iselin, backup right guard. Larry Borum, backup right tackle. And then the backups, Bobby Haskins, Josh Lugg, Doug Kramer, Lorenz Metz, and Alex Leatherwood is on the third strings as of right now. But PayPal, let's get into the starter, the man, the myth, the guy that saved us all, because without him, Lord help Justin Fields. Braxton Jones entering his second season as a Chicago Bear. Braxton Jones, we're going to use a lot of PFF grades because there's not really stats. It's the best stats out there. Second season, 6'5", 310. He had an offensive grade of 75.4 overall. Very good. Age 24. Run block grade of 79.4, which is absurd. Pass blocking grade of 70.5. He was the highest graded rookie offensive tackle I know, according to PFF. And one of the things that jumped out to me was you could see him progressing throughout the season. I tweeted it out where his pass blocking numbers did increase, not PFF grades, but like legit stats. He was a better blocker in the pass later on. PayPal, a breakout season for Braxton Jones.
Yeah, like we finally, I mean, we said it. We finally have a kind of a consistent offensive line group for him. Like being able to shine with like Cody Whitehair and all these guys that had this experience, and then this rookie comes in from the 5th round and then just completely shines out of everyone out of the offensive line is just incredible. You know, like just with his football IQ, his physicalities, everything, he just shined out. And I can completely expect him to have an even better season this year. Like people talk about how he just works so hard and he's cognizant. I think that's important. He's very cognizant of his problems, and he kind of talks about them and tries to fix them rather than be like, oh, it's a problem, and tries to avoid it. Like he takes his problems, his you know, whatever his coaches tell him, and he focuses on trying to get better. And that's where we saw him just progress throughout the entire season. And I think that's kind of why. So just imagine a whole off season and how much he's gotten better now. So one of the best picks we had last year's draft, I think.
Yeah, because I see people saying too, I think some people commented that watched the show, and also people on Twitter, some people were saying, well, we've seen this before. It's Larry Borum, right? Larry Borum was drafted late, day 3, and he didn't take a jump. So why is Braxton Jones going to take a jump? And for me, like what you said, he's got such a good head on his shoulders. He's a sponge. And I think too, where someone says, lose weight, get in shape, do this, he seems like that's who he is. Like he's just going to learn how to do it. He's going to freaking do it. And the thing too, you talk about watching games. I've said this a lot of times on this show. Rewatch a game and just look at what happens when they run it to the left side. It's, Cody Whitehair does his thing, but Braxton Jones, there's a reason why he got one of the best run blocking grades according to PFF. The tape doesn't lie. That's what he was doing. He was moving people. He has the quickness, the agility. So in the pass blocking, he didn't look as great. And I think he really struggled at the beginning because of that. And we saw him just getting cooked by just power and bull rushes. I think this year he's going to get better. He's going to progress. And I do think that this is going to be a breakout season where I don't think he's going to be seen as the best offensive lineman, but I think he's going to be someone that people start to look at going, this guy could be one of the best offensive linemen in 2024 because he's got the raw talent. He's got the head on his shoulders. And when you see him run blocking and you see the power and the quickness, the agility, I love Braxton Jones. I just freaking love Braxton Jones.
There are 2 people I think that love him more, or maybe 3 people, and that's the offensive line coach, Eberflus and Pace. I think they all, or Pohl, sorry, love him more than you do. I think
I got one more. Khalil Herbert. Khalil Herbert always ran to the left, and my God, he's like, all right, Jones, you go.
Yeah.
You got it.
I bet.
Yeah. But let's talk about this other left side because, dude, we talk about the left. We talk about how they're able to run, block. Teven Jenkins
Wow.
was
Yeah.
one of the best run blockers according to PFF, because 79.79 is very good. Teven Jenkins walks in with an 80.7 overall PFF grade. He's going into his third season, 6'6", 321, run blocking grade of 82.2. Phenomenal. Pass blocking grade, though, was worse than Braxton Jones at a 65.9. He's going to be 25 this season. Switching over to this left-hand side, he was the third highest graded guard in the NFL according to PFF. Biggest reason was that run blocking. He was asked to do that so well. My God, is he a people mover? PayPal, he's switching over to the left-hand side. Can he duplicate this dominant season that he had last year and move over to the left-hand side?
I've never been, first things first, I've never been so excited for offensive line. I was
Yeah,
sitting,
right?
as you're
Like,
talking
let's
about
freaking go.
Teven Jenkins, I gotta like rewatch this film, but I feel like I was just smiling ear to ear. I was just like sitting there like mesmerized, like, gosh, like we have such a fun offensive line this year, and I'm
Me
just
too.
so excited for him. Like Teven Jenkins just has that huge upside of like, yeah, he has that run blocking, and yeah, can he just work on the pass blocking? And it's kind of my same answer as Braxton Jones. Both of these guys have great heads on their shoulders and just absorb information. And we have arguably one of the best offensive line coaches in the league. Like you can hear it from our offensive line players. Like they absolutely love him because he's a player's coach. Like he cares about his players and they would do anything for him, you know? So I think having that consistency, like kind of like before, I don't want to be redundant, but it's just so true. Like now he has kind of a consistent, like he can play with Cody Whitehair, which I think is huge. Playing with a veteran, you know, he knows his job. Like when he was on the right side, Teven Jenkins, like he was playing with the new right tackle every single week. He was playing Mustafa, where it's like he probably had to help Musty a lot. Like Musty is not blocking a guy one-on-one. Like we know that for a fact. Like they're just gonna bull rush him and plow him over. So having a great solid unit of having, I mean, the best offensive line guy last year with Jones, and then having Cody Whitehair, I think is just gonna be perfect. That left side, Brad, is dangerous and tall. I mean, both like 6'6", 6'7". So
it's gonna be nuts. And two, dude, Teven Jenkins is also freaking awesome. And for anyone that doesn't follow him on social media, he's funny on Twitter. And I love just how he's getting involved with the fans. So you didn't see this. So look at this. For those that haven't seen it, go out to the Chicago Bears Instagram, Twitter, wherever. So everybody would create a car. And so Justin Fields, cool, blue and orange, right? Brisker, green, black, awesome. Khalil
like
Herbert.
a Ferrari. Yeah, like a
Slick.
Ferrari, like sick cars. Yeah.
Teven Jenkins. Like this, I'm going to try and describe it. Like it's this beat up truck that
RV.
It's like this, it looks like a destroyed taco truck. Like it's just, and he chose to do this. And he's a funny dude. He's connecting with the fans. You love to see it. And the big fear, though, that I guess I have with Teven Jenkins is like with last season, right? Last season with Teven Jenkins, going into it, I still think that there's some rawness to Teven Jenkins' game. Phenomenal. Very, very fast. He's a very, very fast offensive lineman. Obviously can move people, which we love. The big question is just the coaching. And I think that's where him being coached up at one position, remind you, he was playing left side, he was playing right tackle, got shifted over to right guard, and then we had the timeshare at right guard where Lucas Patrick was getting cooked every snap, and then Teven Jenkins would come in and be just phenomenal. I think that's going to be the biggest question, is switching over to the other side and taking the coaching, finding a new home there. And I think that's the big piece, because if he can duplicate what he did last year, even if he's not a great pass blocker, but he's just this destroyer in run blocking. I think people are starting to talk about him as a legit top 10 guard in the NFL, because if he's blocking well, Braxton Jones is going to be blocking well. That left side, people are going to just say good night, because you got Komet, you got Blasingame, you got all these guys moving people. This is going to be just insane to try and stop the run on that side, because you're talking about some of the best run blockers on that left side.
Yeah, I think the key thing I like to take away is if Teven Jenkins is comfortable, like as in playing the same position for the whole year, like, yeah, it's good night. Like, I think it kind of messed up him a lot of being moved around, all the trade talks. Like, I bet that is so hard for anyone to deal with. And then now it's like, man's married. He's, he's a lot. He knows his position now. He knows his role. Like, that's why we see him connecting more with the media, I bet. Like, he's just a lot more happy. He's a lot more comfortable now. And I think that's going to be huge in his game. And honestly, one of my favorite players to watch.
Yeah.
Like, on this, it's crazy. I don't think I would ever say that for an offensive lineman, but he's one of my favorite players to watch. He's so fun.
I can't wait. But you're talking about moving positions. Let's move to the center position with the man that moves the most positions out of anybody else. It seemed like he had a home at left guard, but Cody Whitehair, going into his 8th season with the Chicago Bears, 6'3", 316. Last year, only had a 65.9 offensive grade. He's going to be 31 years old during the season, a 62.3 run blocking grade, and a 66.9 pass blocking grade. So with Cody Whitehair, I do want to bring this up. He's had 2 seasons of 1,000 snaps at center. And both of those seasons, he had an 87.5 grade at center and a 75.2 grade at center. Yet again, these are PFF grades. It's just there's not really a great metric to be grading run blocking and pass blocking. Needless to say, that's when he looked his best, was when he was just a true center, but still hasn't been a center since 2022. And the big question was, he always had that weird, funky snap. Hey, pal, how big of a deal is it that he's shifting to center, having that snap, being the focal point of this offensive line? How big of a deal do you think this is?
I think it's a huge deal, Brad. Like,
really? I thought you were going to say no.
No,
I thought you were going to do the opposite.
I think it's a big deal, Brad. First off, I just think of how many times we had missed snaps last year, especially in weather where it was rainy and stuff. How many times we had a mishap with handing it, like the center giving it to Justin Fields. We had so many of that last year. With Cody Whitehair, I bet that number is in half, or we have 0. Like, having that veteran presence at the center, I think is going to be huge. And he's better than Lucas Patrick. Like, I think he's got that leadership quality as well. Like, he shows kind of these young guys, the new guys coming in, how to be a bear, how to be very physical in the run game. I think he brings all of that. And 2, I think that metric that you brought up of how well he has played at center, I completely agree. Watching him last year, you see him at guard, and it didn't look right. Like, he isn't like fast enough, I guess. Like, he's not fast enough to be a guard. I think he fits perfectly at center, where he's kind of able to sit in one spot, kind of not be as mobile, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's a perfect spot for him. Like, he's such a big body guy. Center's perfect. And talk about height again. We got a 6'3" center. Like, we're going down the line, 6'7", 6'6", and 6'3". So I think this is a great upgrade from this offensive line.
Yeah. And I kind of echo you too, where the snap is difficult. And he has had problems with it. He hasn't snapped since 2020. He's going to get better at it. But at the same time, a fumble, an over snap is something that does turn the tide of a game. That's a turnover. That's what makes good teams bad. That's what makes bad teams bad teams. And So that is going to be a question. Obviously, he's going to be working on it. So hopefully things go well. I am curious from a run blocking perspective how he is as the true leader of the offensive line. I think he's a good leader, but it's that QB of the line, that knowing where everyone should be. Because I wish I should have grabbed these stats, because whenever he was center for Matt Nagy, it seemed the running game wouldn't get going. And then I still remember it was the New Orleans game. We were watching the game together, and Whitehair goes down, Mustipher comes in, and then the run blocking magically got better. And we all know Mustipher's not a good blocker, but magically, like, people were in better position. So it's just a small thing, but it is something to at least bring up, that he does need to be the leader of that. He needs to know where people are, right? You can lead people, but not know where people are supposed to be. So he needs to really be that quarterback of the O-line, really kind of hone in. There's much more than just blocking at center that he does need to account for. Because if he can do that, whew, that's going to be huge. But we are accounting. We do need a guard to switch back to center, and we are asking for a right guard to play left guard now. That is a lot to ask of your offensive line going into the season.
Yeah, I with all those points, that makes me it makes me a lot more happy having someone that's been in the system for a lot longer than anyone else on this team.
Yeah.
And it's like, so Cody Whitehair, out of anyone, he knows the system the best. He is the oldest. He's 31, he can hopefully, fill kind of those shoes of the leader. And that honestly comes first at the center position. And then is his blocking still up to par? I guess we'll find out.
And I think too, you get asked less of with blocking at the center. So it will definitely be something to watch during camp. Are the center to Fields connection, is it good? And I think that's also another big piece too. Last year, Patrick was getting snaps. Kramer, before getting the season-ending injury, was getting snaps with Fields, and also Mustipher was getting snaps with Fields. Now you have one person, so they can at least kind of hone that in and get that down. But let's move over to the right guard spot with Nate Davis. Nate Davis is 6'3", 316, fifth season out of UNC Charlotte, age 26. Run blocking grade of 69.8, passing grade of 66.8. But something that's very impressive, this guy is known for his zone blocking ability, a 76.9 zone blocking grade. When he was put into the starting lineup at Tennessee, there was no looking back. He became that starter, and the Bears signed him in the offseason, 3 years, $30 million, $10 million a year. Absolutely great deal in my thought. But with this, what is your expectation of Nate Davis, I guess? Do you expect him to be better? Do you expect him to take a leap? Do you expect him to be okay?
Yeah, I think he's gonna be good. We still have a lot to see with him. Like in Tennessee, you could see at the zone grade, like he was a great run blocker, especially in space. Like I saw him, this big boy, going out on screens, being awesome in open field. Like he's great. Those zones kind of needing to come out, for a trap or something. He's great. But yeah, is it kind of the passing grade? It's still kind of a Teven Jenkins of, can he be that good, reliable in the passing game? Is he going to be good on one-on-ones? Is he going to be smart? That's kind of the big question with him. Like he has the size, he has everything. He's got that great personality where I think he's going to take everything he can from Coach Mo. Can he get better? So we'll see. And I just hope he's going to camp more. That was something that's maybe I'm old fashioned, Brad. I'm an old guy. But
23-year-old old fashioned guy. Yeah, I get it. Yeah,
but he just it still rubs me wrong that he didn't go to camp, especially when you're a new guy. Like,
yeah, and it being voluntary, I think that's the big piece too. Yeah, it's always that debate. Yeah, he'll definitely be there. But I like what you said about the pass blocking because his pass blocking efficiency grade last year, 96.75. That's not good. So that means 96.75% of the time, he's not letting up a pressure, not letting up a hurry, not letting up a QB hit. And typically you want to see that around 98. You want to see that a little bit higher at the guard position. At the tackle position, that's great, but you want to see it a little bit better. That's not a phenomenal number, but he is more of a run blocker. So I think, though, too, I think he's literally like the way I always thought of him is he's solid. He's never going to make a Pro Bowl. He's just going to be a good guard. And he's just going to come in. He's going to do his job. I think like that's just who he is. He's not a talker. He's a very calm, laid back dude. He understands the system. So he's a good fit because it's a similar system to what Tennessee was running. And he can block. And I think this is where, how are we going to be winning games? It's going to be in the run. And if the unit can do this all together, that's how we're going to win.
Yeah, man. It just gives me so excited. They're all so big. They're all great linemen at, blocking the run. So watch out. Our Khalil Herbert, who knows? Another breakout season. We'll see.
So speaking of blocking the run, everyone is good at blocking the run, or everyone's specialty has been run blocking. I mean, Whitehair is right in the middle, but now we have Darnell Wright, the right tackle that we drafted with the 10th overall pick. Darnell Wright. And Darnell Wright, his biggest weakness was blocking the run. That's where he definitely struggled. He seemed a little bit more awkward out there when run blocking, but he's more of a pass blocker. One of the only people that you can kind of lean more towards pass blocking, 99.1% pass blocking efficiency, 6'5", 333, big boy, and really has all this power. So he could be a big, and also I have this out here in the grade or the display as well. He's not the best scheme fit because he seemed to be more of a gap scheme, and he wasn't a good run blocker. So can he learn to be a good zone blocker, I guess? And I'm going to actually change the question up. I had level of confidence, but PayPal, are you worried at all with this person being an awkward run blocker on tape? Do you fear that at all with him being seemingly the starting right tackle for the team?
We still should have got Teven Jones, Brad. I'm still salty. No, okay. But it's hard. I am not too scared about run blocking because, like you said before, kind of just how run blocking, it still is a skill, but it's kind of that coaching that kind of gets the run blocking to be good, like getting the high effort out of your players and just having them know where they're supposed to be. And like, as we saw last year, our coach knows how to put them in the right spot. Even if you're not the best blocker in the league, you're going to look good because you will fit, you know where to go and you know who to block. So that does not worry me. Especially at that tackle spot, that right tackle spot, we've always just wanted a guy that can pass block. And we have one. It was like we just cycled through with Larry Borum. It was like, okay, he's not it. And we got Alex Leatherwood, we got all these guys, Riley Reef, and now it seems like we got the guy to protect Fields. And I think that was the most important part when getting a guy like him. And the run blocking is going to come just with coaching.
Yeah, I do agree with that. And to the point about the pass blocking, one of my favorite things about Darnell Wright is he's good against bull rushes. Because I feel the bull rush is the thing that Justin Fields hates. Because Larry Borum sucks up a bull rush like none other, and he just gets driven back. And when he does that, Justin Fields is like, okay, like he doesn't want to sit in the pocket and throw it with someone being pushed right into him. I mean, I get it, but he doesn't have that presence that some others do with sitting there tall in the pocket. And yeah, I do believe that Darnell Wright, with him having that size, him stopping like and Van Ness, who is now a Green Bay Packer, all he
Yeah.
does, bull rush. All Preston Smith does, bull rush. Darnell Wright can help with a lot of those players and really stop them in their tracks so that Justin Fields doesn't have to be like, oh crap, like here's this big guy coming right at me. I like having Darnell Wright and him excelling in the bull rush. I think that quietly is one of my favorite pieces of him. But yeah, with the coaching, hopefully the run blocking becomes a thing in the past. It is something, though, that he does have to get better at. So, yet again, preseason. Why do we love preseason? Because you get to watch it. And, I feel like we get to make preseason fun for those that like listen and watch the show because
I love it. Yeah.
It's like, what should you watch for? Is Darnell Wright like not an awkward turtle out there, like a penguin, just like, where do I go next? And he doesn't know what to do. I think that with the coaching, they should put him in line and have him be that blocker. So the confidence, though, I guess, what is your confidence? We are starting a rookie. Are you confident with starting a rookie, or is it we just got to see?
I mean, it's a first round rookie, and I think that just makes your confidence even higher of like, yeah, Braxton Jones, we were starting him, and it was kind of like, yeah, we don't know, but this is kind of the best option we have. Darnell Wright, it's like he showed all the stuff on tape, and like he was kind of scouted as like he's gonna start in the league. What, unlike some of the fifth round guys we've gotten, or when we got Chavius Pig Simmons, it's like, okay, what are the odds he actually starts? But Darnell Wright is for sure. He should be a starter. We'll have to see, obviously. And I hope he is, because it would be bad if we're looking for another tackle.
And I know we got this question in one of our previous shows. I think it might have been Ron that asked us, and sorry if I got it wrong, because I remember maybe a couple episodes ago it was, well, what would happen? Like, would they sign a George Fant? Would they sign another free agent at the offensive line spot? And this is where, just bringing that up again, I think the only reason why the Bears would sign someone is to be essentially the starter for Darnell Wright. If he's not coming together, if he's not playing well, you add in one of these vets to say, listen, Wright, we know you're the guy. You're just not ready yet. Because, too, you look at his career, he was a 5-star recruit, had all the talent in the world, didn't look good his first season. He was a 4-year starter, but only had one good season of tape, which was last year. First round tape. You watch that, you go, man, this guy belongs in the first round. You watch his other stuff, you go, we drafted this guy in the first round? And that's where maybe he just takes time to get better, or maybe something switched. If it's not switching for him, I could see the Bears making a Riley Reef move and adding a backup, adding a vet to basically start for him. Because let's go and look at the backup offensive linemen right now. So, backup offensive linemen. So we went through the starters. Our backups: Kellen Deach, who is a left tackle out of Arizona State, short-armed tackle, very quick, nimble. Jatiri Carter, who is our draft pick last year out of Southern, who is really kind of the guard. Lucas Patrick, former starting center for the Chicago Bears, and Dieter Iselin, who kind of center guard combo, seen as the second guy, and Larry Borum. PayPal, out of this like kind of second group, anybody kind of stand out to you?
Yeah, I think obviously Larry Borum stands out. He's kind of the, I don't want to say for sure backup, but he seems kind of the one that we'd probably be most confident in playing backup, because I mean, he played right tackle, he's played left tackle, so he kind of has that versatility, and we got the backup tackles kind of locked down. Then it's kind of like, all right, then the center, you kind of have to think about how can these people be moved around. And honestly, the guy I'm kind of high on, I think Jatiri Carter is kind of the backup guard, I think, of for this system. He's played great when he's been in. I remember preseason last year, he he looked pretty darn good. Did he start as a tackle? I don't know if we had so many offensive line.
No, I don't think so. I can pull that up for you real quick, but I don't.
Yeah,
He
started as left
at
guard. Yeah, he still started at guard, but he's someone that, we've seen him. I think he was training with Darnell Wright or Braxton Jones, one of them.
Yeah,
and he just looks good. Like he's training with the team, and I think it kind of has that guard spot solidified. I mean, some could say, Brad, I don't know if you think Dieter Iceland is kind of one of those guys, or is Lucas Patrick going to be that guard too? I don't know.
Yeah, my take on it is, I think when you look at the backups, because I think people want to add backups, I don't think that they would cut Patrick because they like him as a leader. They like him as a leader, and they clearly liked him last season. And even though that he was trash at the guard spot, he still plays guard. And he also was coming off of a hand injury, so you got to give him some benefit there. But he is a center, and he kind of has that center guard versatility, because you look at Patrick, Carter obviously has been getting a lot of snaps. When Davis was gone, he was kind of getting those right guard spot reps. I still think that Dieter is a practice squad guy, but I look at Larry Borom. Larry Borom, all the rumors are pointing to the leadership just is not a huge fan of Larry Borom because needs to drop weight, but it seems like he's not. And I think it was Eberflus that called him out, that said, like, yeah, he needs to like lose some weight. And I think that Borom, I don't hate Larry Borom as a backup, but because this is his third season as well, because he came in with Teven Jenkins, right?
Yeah.
So with Larry Borom, I can't see them cutting him because he is a young backup unless they absolutely don't like him. Deesh was someone that I did like coming out of the draft the year before, and he was someone that looked very good in the preseason. Another person to watch because he's very agile, very quick, very good scheme fit. And if he's looking good, then there you go. But if you look to the third string, you have Bobby Haskins, Josh Lugg, Doug Kramer coming back from an injury out of Illinois, Lorenz Metz, and Alex Leatherwood. PayPal, I know we're going to get questions on Alex Leatherwood. What's your thoughts on him?
Yeah, Alex, it's such a weird situation with his contract and everything. We've said it before of how we're so confident in our coach, our offensive line coach. And it's like having that first round talent, can you almost bring that life back into him of like, I don't think he's ever going to start for us, but can he bring him back to the life of having a solid right tackle? It seems like kind of he's more of a guard backup at this point. I don't think he's really going to be a tackle anymore. Can we bring that life back into him and be a solid backup? But who knows if he makes this team? He probably, out of this third string type of players, he kind of stands out as the one that would make the team out of all of them. But what say you, Brad?
Yeah, I like what you said about Leatherwood's contract, because I'm actually going to just pull this up. He pretty much has a fully guaranteed deal. So if you are cutting him, you're just losing money is the big thing. Because if you cut him this year, you are he will count then $4.59 million against your cap, which is an additional $2.6 million. So I think the big question is, do you cut your losses literally and get rid of this huge contract? And yeah, everything that's coming out of camp, they're like, listen, like people that are reporting out of the OTAs, out of mandatory mini camp, they're saying Leatherwood is not looking good. Now, do they just say, we're going to keep you on the team because we don't want to pay that extra money? And to me, I would just get it done with, get it over and done with, and then try someone else out. But to your point about having him as more of a guard, I think you look at those rookies that they did bring in, and that tells you a lot. Josh Lugg is a tackle from Notre Dame. Bobby Haskins, undrafted tackle out of USC. And so you have these tackles that are out there. Also, Gabe Huey. It actually looks like Bobby Haskins. No, Bobby Haskins is still on there. But yeah, lots of tackles that are in fact out there that the Bears have on this team, and Leatherwood should probably best project to be a guard. The big question is, do they think that they can get anything out of him as a former first-round pick? Keep in mind, he wasn't really supposed to be a first that drafted that high. It was a bad pick from the bad Raiders regime. But yeah, I don't love Leatherwood. He didn't look good when he was out there. Still doesn't seem like the Bears love him out there, but can Chris Morgan work magic on him at that position? But also, I'll talk a little bit about Doug Kramer, rookie last year out of Illinois, went down with a season-ending injury. I am curious to see if he is going to make the team, because I felt watching him last year when he was healthy, he just seemed to be too small. That was the big question. Is he too small for the position? He kept getting pushed back even more than like a Sam Mustipher, but he was going against third stringers. So when I saw him out there, I did not like what I saw out of Doug Kramer. Can he rebound out of a injury? My thought is probably not. And that's where I think Dieter would probably be more of that practice squad center, unless Doug Kramer puts it together. But I think it's unlikely, in my opinion.
Yeah, the only thought, and I think this is kind of a stretch, Brad, is, if they really want a younger backup at center, like if they're thinking more towards the future of like, okay, if Cody Whitehair gets old, but like you got to think of too of the life of linemen. I mean, 31 for Cody Whitehair, like he's not old, like he still has years to play. So that's where I'm kind of defeating my own explanation. And Lucas Patrick, I thought he was a lot older. Like, I mean, he's 29, which is, you almost kind of think of maybe, I don't want to say the best time to be offensive lineman, but like he still, it hasn't hit that drop off point yet. Would they want a younger backup? Probably not. And yeah, I agree. Doug Kramer didn't look very good. You always, I don't know. I remember when we got the guy from not Baylor, Oregon.
Oh yeah.
Gosh, what was his name?
Oh geez.
Gosh, he's the center for Marcus Mariota at the time. Like it was awesome having him because he was kind of known for being fast. Yeah, I'm just kind of saying stuff so that Brad can look it up right
Cronus
now.
Grasu.
There we go. Cronus Grasu. Yep. I think we just gotta officially just be like, all right, no more small centers because they've not been working out for us. Have a Cody Whitehair. He's a big center. He should be good.
I think too, with Kramer, my ceiling for him is like a Sam Mustipher, where smaller, undersized, like legit. Because I think some people might roll their eyes at that comment, but for real, like he's a smaller, undersized center that you hope that cerebrally he's there. And that's where I think that's going to be the question of who do you keep? And Iselin, to me, Dieter gives you that bigger upside because he plays that ever so elusive center and guard combo. Kramer is a center only. So if, and I think that's where I want to watch his tape. I want to see what he can do, but that is the big question mark going into it. But PayPal, this is super fun. Let's go into some over-unders with this offensive line group. And I think let's switch it up. You get the first two. I'll take the last two. Over-unders for the offensive line. Last year, they allowed a lot more than this number. So I actually lowered it because you hope to God they don't give up this many sacks. So I lowered it to a interesting number, 49.5 sacks. Over or under, because keep in mind, Justin Fields in college would get sacked around 3 times. So even if everyone's moving up, what do you think? Is it going to be over or under 49.5?
Yeah, we got around 60 last year? I want to say
it was like 60. I think it was like 62. Yeah, it was a lot.
And that's the thing, you have to blame Justin Fields for some of those.
You do. If you
And
don't, you're special.
but yeah, and like
yeah.
you gotta think of like just the first half of the season with all the craziness, and then you saw near the like later part of the season where Justin Fields starts to realize like, hey, I can throw the ball away. Like, hey, I can throw a check down. I
Yeah.
don't have to always look for big plays. I think that plays huge into this, as well as all the upgrades we mentioned in our starting offensive line unit. I got to go under, Brad. If I say over, I am just a pessimist, and I have to look on the bright side of this and say that this offensive line, with all the negatives coming out of last year, just not knowing anything, having a quarterback in the first year of the offense, so much stuff was going bad for our offensive line and that sack total. So I have to say we are going to get a dramatic improvement and get under 49.5 sacks.
Yeah, you got to hope, but it is, talking about Justin Fields, that is a part. Like you mentioned, he does hold on to the ball too long, and there's some days in camp in OTAs where he was. So
Yeah.
that's something he's always done. So some of those are going to be credited to him holding the ball. So hopefully it sounds like he is processing faster, which in turn lowers the sack number as well. So PayPal, continuing with you, with that being said, are they going to be at NFL rank 16, over, under? So are they going to be a top half offensive line?
Like, yeah, do you know what the rank was last year? Because I imagine we were probably, I wouldn't say we'd be in the middle, but like we had the number one probably like run offensive line last year with just how well everyone performed. And I think our run blocking is going to be even better with an addition like Nate Davis, and then having a bigger center like Whitehair in the middle.
I'll pull
So
up the PFF one because that comes to mind, because I know that they actually downgraded this offensive line, and I understand their reasoning behind it a little bit because, yeah, so last year they had us as the 14th best offensive line. And then now they're saying we're the 21st offensive line, because also keep in mind, they shuffle it around during the season. And their reasoning was you have three different positions essentially or you only have one consistent position because Teven
yeah,
Jenkins is moving to right guard. Cody Whitehair's moving to center. Nate Davis is a new addition, and Darnell Wright is a rookie. So that's where the reasons why they moved them down so much was just the overall shift, not necessarily saying talent-wise they're good. But at the end of the
yeah.
season, let's say, end of the season, are they going to be a top half offensive line?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think it's just kind of the question of that pass blocking, but we have that filled with Darnell Wright at right tackle. I see. Hope so. He definitely showed it on his last year Tennessee. And yeah, can kind of Nate Davis, Teven Jenkins, kind of that inside. Can they get better at pass blocking and not just let these interior guys just kind of shove them over and create Justin Fields to just take these sacks? So I think this offensive line is going to be on the top half. So I guess, what do you want to say then? Over, I guess.
Yeah,
Under.
Yeah, we'll say better. Yeah,
yeah, better. Yeah, I don't know if it's
under
over
the
under.
number.
Yeah, under the number 16, so less
Betterness.
than 16.
Yeah,
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, they got to be. I think they got to be better.
Even I think you made a good point. It is the pass blocking. That is a good point, because your best pass blocker essentially on paper should be Darnell Wright, is a rookie. So good point. So the next one, this will go over to me. Offensive lineman on the active roster, 8.5. So this, I'm actually going to just move it back to the depth chart just so we can see it, right? So Braxton Jones, Teven Jenkins, Cody Whitehair, Nate Davis, Darnell Wright. That's 5. I think Ja'Tyre Carter makes the team. Lucas Patrick makes the team. And then you add like a Larry Borum. And then I think the big question is Leatherwood, right? Do you feel comfortable with this? Personally, I am fine with this 8 right here, but I'm going to go over because I do think that I I think that they do keep Leatherwood, not because of talent, but because of contract. I think that's going to
Mhm.
be what it boils down to, the contract, and also I'll hedge my bet too. I'm going to go over as well because I think, let's say Deesh does well, or let's say Darnell Wright doesn't do great and they want to add another veteran as backup, right? I think that that's where they could go 9. I'm going to go over because I think that they might keep I think ultimately they keep Leatherwood because of the contract. And yet again, here's the big thing too. It's not like it ends their team, right? It's not like you're cutting someone with 10 plus million. It's not like Russell Wilson. We're talking
Yeah.
about a couple extra million that they would be eating. It's not the end
Mhm.
of the world, but it is money no matter what. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, I think
that's
we
yeah,
both kind of think of it like too, like they could just take the losses,
yeah,
and that's
seriously.
kind of yeah, but we'll see what polls and Eberflus kind of cook up of yeah, is he worth to just cut? Is he really that bad to just be like, all right, we'll just take the hit? I mean, we have plenty of money, and
Yeah.
as of now, we don't know who we're signing if we do have enough money to cut him. Um, but yeah, I like that.
Because maybe what they're trying to do is let's hold on to him and then we'll waive him and hopefully somebody claims him like we did. But yet again, the Bears were the only ones that claimed him. and so there's that. But then the last one, Pro Bowls over under point 0.5. So are we going to have a Pro Bowl offensive lineman? PayPal. I think if we have a Pro Bowl offensive lineman, even though I love me some Braxton Jones, I think it's Teven Jenkins. Because can you see this Bears
Wow.
Twitter, Teven Jenkins be like, hey, I want to be a Pro Bowler, and Chicago just being like, yes, no matter what season, as long as it's like a solid season, Bears fans will vote and Bears fans will go crazy for Teven Jenkins. And two, we saw if he's able to be this dominant freak, I think that he could make the Pro Bowl.
Hmm.
So I think it's going to be Teven Jenkins or Braxton Jones. Whitehair, I don't want to say for sure, but I do think it's going to be one of the two on the left-hand side where I think if Braxton Jones should have another great season, I could see football purists being like, you don't know Braxton Jones? Well, I'm going to vote for him because like football hipsters that don't follow the Bears being like, low key,
Yeah.
he's good and voting for him. So I'm going to say over just because I think we're going to have the Teven Jenkins hive
Hey,
come out.
and who knows? Darnell Wright. He could be, he's a first round guy, like top 10 pick. So he could also be kind of that guy. But I definitely think Teven Jenkins or yeah, Braxton Jones are kind of the two guys we're eyeing down right now because Teven Jenkins definitely has the potential to be that Pro Bowler talent of
I
just
love it. Yeah.
sheer dominance.
So now PayPal, it is the last question. Did the offensive line group get better? I think this is pretty easy. I think you look
Yeah.
across the entire line, Braxton Jones should get better, right? I think that we've only scratched the surface with what Braxton Jones can do. Teven Jenkins, I do think that he regresses. Even though that we've been hyping him up, he played like a top 5 guard. He played like one of the best guards. I don't think he's going to do that again, but I think he's going to be good. So I think if you're looking at what happened last season, I do think that he'll quote unquote regress to the mean. That's what it's called. Um, and then I think Whitehair should be better at the true center. Nate Davis is an upgrade when you think about who did we replace. I think he's an upgrade over Mustafa. I think he's good right guard. And I think overall at right tackle, do we want a revolving door of literally bodies? Darnell Wright should be a perceived upgrade. So I think overall, this is an upgrade.
Yeah, I agree with everything there. I gotta say, I think Teven Jenkins is gonna probably stay at the level he played at,
Okay,
or
let's
honestly,
go.
even better, just because, like we said before, I honestly think with him being comfortable and being like, this is finally my position, and just with, I don't know, I just think of like, you got to think of the person. Like, he's married now, like his life is finally like kind of comfortable, and he can actually kind of not be worried about what's going to happen next to him, you know?
True.
So I got to say that he's going to have a great year this year. He's someone I'm really looking at this line of kind of breaking out. And yeah, our backups too. We got to mention the backups. I don't think they didn't really change, you know, like we have Lucas Patrick now kind of, I guess he's not fighting for a starting role. And
Yeah.
he's kind of settled down to the backup. I think Ja'Tyre Carter has gotten better just kind of as the
Agreed.
years have gone on. Like, you kind of see him kind of definitely fitting that role. I mean, he was like a third stringer. Now he's kind of moving his way up. Larry Borum, I don't know if he's gotten better. I don't know if he's gotten worse, you know,
Yeah.
but he's still here.
I think that's what I fear is like people can think of this, right? Think about it like your company. You could be a good player, a good employee, but if you're not liking what's going around you, you might get a little bit worse. You might get a little spiteful. And that, because it's the rumors, right? It's people saying that people are hearing that they don't love Larry Borum. You saw that too. He wasn't starting. I think that's a big what if. But yet again, Larry Borum was your backup. So
Yeah.
he could drop off, though, with being frustrated. It's another year at this crappy company. Now you're extra pissed off. Right? That might be how he sees it. We don't know. So to me, I think it's upgrades all around. Your starting center is now your backup center. Musty's gone. I didn't mind Schofield. Schofield just like couldn't run block, I felt. But yeah, I like what we're getting out of Carter. I think this is overall good and on the way up. I think too, even a fun way to look at this, Braxton Jones should be better. Teven Jenkins versus Cody Whitehair at left guard last year. Jenkins better. Whitehair versus Musty or Patrick at center, better. Nate Davis versus Teven Jenkins last year. You're giving it to Teven Jenkins last year, right?
Yeah.
And then the right tackle, I feel comfortable saying it is a toss-up because it was so up in the air with everything that, injuries happen. They flip around all the time. It's going to be interesting, man. I'm excited to see what they can do. And man, that's where camp preseason, I want to see some Darnell Wright snaps with somebody hitting them in the face. That's not a Bears defensive line. Because, we got to see that. We got to see, can he block? Can he hold up against this competition?
Yeah, we got a lot to look forward to, Brad. And this offensive line is, I'm starting to like actually the whole offensive line, building of all this stuff. Like it's such an important part of this offense, and is why our running game did succeed a lot last year, was solely because we had a run block. They could run block. Pass blocking was another story, and hopefully that's kind of what we get better this year. It's gonna be a fun group this year.
It will be interesting too to see if like a Lug or a Bobby Haskins, these undrafted tackles, are any of them going to make names? Because majority of them don't, right? So are any of these people going to come up? Because I was just about to say, it'd be nice if we had some young centers, right? Kramer, right? Change the narrative. Show me what you can do. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be entertaining. And hopefully this can all come together and Justin Fields can finally be protected. But make sure you stay tuned. Make sure to like and subscribe. We are continuing to break down in big depth each position group. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, make sure to go out everywhere you get your podcast. Search for Unbearable Sports and rate us 5 stars. It helps the show out tremendously. And with that, Unbearable Sports Podcast, we are out.
Yeah, she's got some nice long hair.